Hey there, and greetings from the Himalaya Mountains of northern India. I'm here hiking up the Kulu Valley. I'm staying in a little village just around that ridge behind me there. Just a 20-minute or so hike up a trail, immersed in absolutely stunning scenery. As you can see, there's a waterfall up the canyon there that I might go explore when I'm done here after I hike down. The sun is about to go behind the ridge there, in which case it's going to get a lot cooler, so I have probably just enough time to shoot this video. So this is on the subject of the cause of suffering and how to solve it. Definitely a pretty big and important topic. So I posted a question on Facebook a couple of days ago, just the question, what is the cause of suffering? Just to see what people might say. And it got a lot of response, and lots of great responses all over the map. People saying the ego, desire, lack of alignment with your true self. One person said lack of a mosquito net, which I can relate to. I was in the desert of India a couple of weeks ago, staying in a little desert hut without a mosquito netting, and there were tons of mosquitoes, and I was definitely experiencing some suffering that night, being accosted by mosquitoes all through the night. So there are obviously lots of different causes of suffering. Lots of things that bring us pain and strife and difficulty and challenges in our life. But I wanted to address what I see as the root cause of suffering. And as I see it, the root cause of suffering is self-denial. That really this whole thing, life, the universe, and everything, and God, is all about coming into a place of self-acceptance and self-love. That even God is on a quest of self-acceptance and true self-love, and that is our mission as well as expressions of God. That we are energetic beings, and that our fundamental nature is one of spontaneous creative expression. That is who and how we are meant to be, is simply expressing ourselves in the moment in whatever way we choose or feel. And I think it's safe to say that we're quite a long ways from that ideal in our current society. There is a lot of self-denial, repression of the various aspects of our being, our feelings, emotions, desires, creativity, and there is much self-judgment that goes along with self-denial, of not having true acceptance for who we really are, and that this is not simply a matter of a mental trick of sorts, of you just kind of decide in your mind, I'm okay, and then that's all there is to it, and then you've solved the conundrum of self-denial versus self-acceptance. It isn't simply a matter of a mental realization or coming to the right conclusion, or just getting your thoughts in the right order. Because, as I have discussed in various other videos, there's more to who we are than just our thoughts. That mind is only one aspect of consciousness. There are other aspects of our consciousness, of our being. As I see it, then there are four basic elements of our being: the mental body, the physical body, the spiritual body, and the emotional body. And so true self-acceptance and self-love and removing self-denial means coming to a place of complete and utter spontaneous expression of our being on all of these levels. And I will readily admit that this is an ideal that is a long ways in the making. I don't expect human society to come into alignment in that way anytime soon. But this is ultimately what we should be striving for, in my view, is coming to a place of greater self-acceptance for all of who we are within ourselves, and simultaneously for an acceptance of others and their various complex, multifaceted, multi-layered levels of being, because we reflect one another, and self-acceptance leads to acceptance of others. And when you come to a place of greater acceptance for yourself, then you help to further creating a society and a world of more acceptance for the truth of the human spirit and more freedom to be. That's really what it's about, is coming to a place of greater freedom to just be yourself. Our true nature is to be flowing energetically in the moment, in a very dynamic way, with the divine flow of the universal life force energy. And yet we are in a place, to a great extent, of denial of that life force energy flowing through us. And so the quest is really to get to a place of feeling the vitality of the universe, that chi or prana, that invisible energy, which science may not be able to find, but we all know what joy and happiness feels like, and that is really the essence of it, is to come to a place of flowing with that divine universal life force energy. So, if self-denial, denial of our free-flowing, spontaneous, creative being is the cause of our suffering, then we must come into a place of greater acceptance for and movement with that free-flowing energy within us that we have potential access to, yet are blocking, are separated from. So the question is, how do we come to a place of greater alignment and flowing with that universal life force energy? And I would say the answer is self-expression. That it is simply to seek out some sort of true spontaneous expression within yourself. And that can be anything. It can be any sort of expression in which you tap into an aspect of your being that is not a societal mirror, just being the person that you are expected to be by society, by your friends and family, and images on TV and everything. Not a facade of the personality that you have constructed in order to mask the true being that you are, that you have discovered through your life does not have true acceptance in the world around you. And so we have created these false selves in order to get through life. And so the most important thing here, the path, the way to coming into a place of greater alignment with this spontaneous source of energy, is to find that spontaneous expression within yourself. And the way that things are, when there is a great deal of denial of that spontaneous expression of being, then there's a lot of pain and suffering, since the topic here is the cause of suffering. There's a lot of suffering and negative emotions and difficult feelings and limiting belief systems behind that mask that we use to present ourselves in order to hide our true selves. And so very often then the route to finding this true self within ourselves is one of connecting with our inner pain, basically. So that spontaneous expression could be expressing your anger, tapping into some sadness within yourself. It could just be, random artistic expression that doesn't lead to anything beautiful, but it's just whatever you feel in the moment, and you tap into it and you get it going, and flow with it. And the thing is that once you find some sort of free-flowing energy within yourself, that leads in the direction of your true self, because you have awakened, brought forth some aspect of your true self, even if it isn't very beautiful, even if it's weird or strange or abnormal looking. But that is at least getting you in the right direction. It can be kind of like pulling on a piece of yarn, that's wherever, sticking out of a haystack, and you start pulling on it, and it keeps coming, and then you realize there's a lot more there than just that little piece of yarn that was sticking out of the haystack. It leads to the whole rest of the ball of yarn. And so when you tap into some element of this deeper, true essence of being, then that will lead in the direction of other parts of your being, because it is all connected. And as I see it, then that is really the route to the true self, and to coming into alignment with our greater potential. I think a lot of spiritual paths have gotten a little bit too complicating. There are so many different tools and techniques and exercises and all kinds of stuff, which for the most part I'm all for, whether it's mudras or mantras, positive affirmation, the list can go on of various techniques, analyzing your thoughts. But I really think that the ultimate, quickest route to finding the true self is just to find some sort of real expression within yourself. Playing music, dancing around a drum circle, just tapping into something within in which you're allowing your spirit to truly just flow and be. And I think one of the important elements here is to be willing to run into some difficult stuff in the midst of this, because the reason that our current society is repressing and avoiding and distracting us from true spontaneous expression is because even if it starts off as something that looks pretty, a nice song, good dancing, etc., there's a tendency for this to ultimately lead to difficult stuff that is deeper within our consciousness, that is deemed unacceptable by society, or that is just too deep, too weird, too mysterious. And once people go there, then it's like, whoop, you went too far there. Back out. Come back into your acceptable, normal self, because we don't, know what to make of that. And then you're back on a route of self-denial. Seek out ways to express yourself in your life on a daily basis, if possible. Find some sort of creative outlet. It can be music, dance, yoga, writing, painting, karate. As I said, there are different levels to our being, and so the idea is to try to balance within ourselves these different parts of our being and be able to tap into those different levels of our being, because that is part of the totality of the oneness of who we are, is that we have this multi-layered depth of being to who we are. And I really think one of the best examples of the human spirit in action, in freedom of expression, is the rainbow gatherings. I've been to, I'm not sure, 13 or 14 or something rainbow gatherings over the past 20 years. And there's a celebration of weirdness, which I think is really good, because I think weirdness is an essential aspect of who we are. Life is weird, life is strange, life is mysterious, and our basic nature is to be expressive and to simply allow to come forth whatever comes forth. And based on the assumption that our basic nature is one of love and goodness, then there should be an acceptance for the base level of who we are. That's the base level of who we are. And the problem is that there are difficult emotions and impulses and everything that separate us from the truth of who we are. And it is that difficult stuff that people don't know how to deal with within themselves or within others that gets in the way of our being able to truly connect with that basic level of our being. That there are these negative emotions and other stuff within our souls that is dark and murky and weird and scary, that is separating us from our true nature. And so that is the dark tunnel that needs to be braved and ventured into in order to get to the greater light on the other side. And so in my view, it is through personal expression of various kinds that you can both tap into your joy and your bliss and your creativity and your love and your ultimate happiness. But also, that route is one of connecting with these deeper, darker, more difficult stuff. And it is important to tap into that stuff in order to bring it forth within you so that you can truly face it and ultimately resolve it. And if it is unpleasant, doesn't feel good, is ugly, is scary to others, then I would say that ultimately is not truly who we are. And so that will be released. That can be released. And in the releasing of that, then you get in touch with who you truly are, which is a being, a spirit of love and light and beauty and happiness. And it is the getting in touch with this difficult stuff that you ultimately truly release it from your being. And that's the elephant in the room, as it were, on the spiritual path, is how do you deal with that stuff that's no fun to face and go through? How do you deal with it? So that's kind of the ultimate question and quandary of the path of self-revelation. But anyways, getting back to the Rainbow Gatherings, just wanted to say there's so much freedom of expression there. There are drum circles around blazing bonfires that go all night. There's yoga classes, there's massage happening, there's like affirmation tunnels, I forget what you call it, but sometimes after the dinner circles, then someone will call together a affirmation tunnel. That's not what you call it, but something like that. And then everybody stands in two lines, and the people at one end of the line walk through the tunnel, and then everyone says positive stuff to them as they walk through. And then they get to the end of the line, and the other person, now at the end of the line in the other direction, walks through, and it kind of just goes like that as long as you want to, and so everyone just gets a blast of positive energy. There are sweat lodges, tons of music going on, all kinds of stuff, and it is a celebration of the human spirit and the full spectrum of the human spirit, from the normal to the weird, from the beautiful to the ugly, etc. And that to me is one of the most spiritual experiences and the ultimate path to enlightenment, if you will. Love, peace, oneness within ourselves, joy and happiness is just being able to be who you are and discover who you are on all levels. Hey there, so I'm hiking back to the village of Vashisht and my guest house, and there was one little thing that I wanted to tack on to the end here, an important point that I think I've maybe made in previous videos, but it definitely relates to this topic, and it is the subject of enlightenment. And I think that there is a big misunderstanding on the topic of enlightenment, and pardon me, I'm getting tired out and can't really speak properly at the moment, but do my best here. I think there is a big misunderstanding on the topic of enlightenment, which is that there is a conception of enlightenment as being a state of being in which you are no longer bothered by all of the stuff going on within you, feelings and emotions and troubling thoughts, that you are removed from, separated from that stuff to the extent that it no longer bothers you. And I think this is actually the exact opposite direction of where we need to go, because our true nature of being is one of acknowledging all these aspects of ourselves, including the feeling, emotional, physical parts of our being, and that true alignment is actually, or true enlightenment or alignment, is actually one of being in perfect synchronicity with everything that we are feeling and experiencing in any moment. That, here, I'll get the cool views here. Namaste. Dhanyavad. Hello. Our true state of being is one of fluid movement. It is not one of static observation, as if eventually we remove ourselves to the point where we're just an observer of reality and no longer bothered or moved by that which occurs within our own being. But instead that we are in a state of perfect synchronicity, alignment with these various aspects of ourselves, and completely immersed in them. That's really the point I want to get across, is that true non-resistance is a matter of flowing with that which is occurring within you, not being separated from it. And so this is really a major dividing line on the spiritual path of dealing with all that goes on within our consciousness. And so many spiritual paths are basically saying seek to disassociate yourself from this troubling stuff within you. And that is the solution to happiness, is to no longer be affected by that which is going on within you. And I think this is the exact opposite direction. That in fact, it is through diving fully into yourself, into your difficult feelings and emotions and fears and the reality of the belief systems that you have constructed, completely diving deep into them, and in the process reorganizing them, transmuting them, transforming them, so that you come to a place of truly flowing with the spirit of your being and not being in resistance to it. So Just a little something I wanted to add on there. So take care.